Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Tonight we're back here with a kill count. Tonight, got an interesting one, because tonight's movie is A Bay of Blood. Yeah, you'll see why I said it like that in a minute. So basically, think of this the early slasher film, with a lot of, misdirection, intrigues, red herrings. You'll see it. It's pretty interesting once you get into it, so expect some psychotic moments, so be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoy. Let's go.
Welcome to the Kill Count,
Hey,
where
James.
we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at the 1971 Italian film, A Bay of Blood, aka Carnage, aka Bloodbath, aka, most awesomely, Twitch of the Death Nerve. A Bay of Blood is the closest thing to
So
a
three
proper
alternate
giallo
titles,
film we've
or
had on the
four,
Kill
really.
Count. Pieces came close, but it was a bit too splat-tastic. And even though I kind of referred to Suspiria as a giallo when I covered it in 2018, it'd be more accurate to call that one a supernatural horror movie made by a giallo filmmaker. In that case, Dario Argento. Argento and countless others were highly inspired by the director of A Bay of Blood, Mario Bava, a filmmaker who was also a cinematographer and an effects artist, and who's been called the master of Italian horror. A Bay of Blood follows a contrived real estate plot with lots of greedy characters all killing each other for land. Horror fans who stick to American cinema may not have ever seen this movie,
no real
but
villain,
they've
just
undoubtedly
everyone's going
seen its
psychotic.
imitators. I consider A Bay of Blood the true progenitor of the slasher film, released years before the subgenre would come into its own. Specifically, Friday the 13th fans will see a lot of that franchise's DNA here. From the waterside setting to the occasionally first-person killer to a couple of kills that Jason would copy completely, though usually with less blood. Because that's the thing with A Bay of Blood. It lives up to its name. It is violent as all hell, and horny as a motherfucker too. Slasher fans seriously couldn't ask for a better movie. As someone who doesn't always love slashers, since the lazy ones can be brutal to watch, I enjoyed A Bay of Blood a lot more than I expected. In between all the kills and boobs, it's got beautiful cinematography, with rich colors and interesting shots that come courtesy of Bava's background as a photographer. It makes all the time between kills just as enjoyable as the slaughter, a rarity in lesser slashers. There are also some themes at play regarding human nature and the cycle of violence, but I'm sure a lot of you are mostly interested in the blood and boobs I mentioned. YouTube probably is too, so today's episode is sponsored to help me get away with showing you just a little bit more gore. Shudder is your one-stop shop for horror movie streaming, with a dizzying selection that includes A Bay of Blood. Ain't that convenient? What's great about Shudder is that you can tell it's made by movie lovers, which is why they have curated collections narrowed down from the huge library that you can stream on all your favorite devices. Check that out. They've got one just for giallo films. Mario Bava would be proud. They also have their own original series, like Creepshow, which is currently in its second season and is the most watched series in Shudder's history. It's got episodes directed by horror masters such as Greg Nicotero and friend of the Dead Meat podcast, Joe Lynch. We love that guy. Shudder's only $5.99 a month or $56.99 a year, and you can try it for free for 30 days by going to shudder.com and using promo code DeadMeatJames. That's shudder.com, SHUDDER, promo code DeadMeatJames for a free 30-day trial. Now, I've heard tell that this bay has got a whole lot of bodies in it. Y'all lucky I'm here, let's find out. It's my job to fish them out and count them up.
Yeah, before he asks, no, I don't think it's country. You'll see what I mean in a minute, but yeah, cycle of violence, human nature. Yeah, things are gonna get bloody fast. If you like blood, welcome aboard. So, let's check out the film that inspired many of horror directors, A Bay of Blood, and see how let's see how Bava managed to inspire them. Let's go. Bring it on, Bava.
The movie begins on a bay.
A Bay.
There we go.
Blood.
The owner of the land around this Bay is the wheelchair-bound Countess Federica Donati. She's played by Isa Miranda, an international film star who was big in the 1930s, and boy does she love looking out at her bay. Brings a winter tear to the eye. Pretty cute. I hope the Countess enjoyed her final view, because she suddenly finds an assailant in her midst who, with a rope and a kick, hangs her from her neck near the floor. Without her chair or the use of her legs, the Countess is unable to prevent a death by asphyxiation.
Sorry, Contessa.
For an Italian horror
we actually
movie,
see the killer.
Shown who killed her right away. This murderous gent, her husband, Filippo
her own
Denani.
husband.
Huh, so weird. Giallo films always have the murderer
Hasn't even laid
remain
the
a mystery.
thing up,
Not
but
sure
then
why
again-
we're seeing this guy. Oh, because
Yep,
he gets
that.
killed too.
Stabbed
He's
like a
stabbed to death
spine.
and
Yep,
falls
too.
to the floor, dying as he stares up at his wife's hanging corpse. And his killer, the one who just dragged his body away, is the one who's gonna be a mystery. Got it. A lot of the film's first half
Like I
follows
said,
a group
rare
of
hitters.
rowdy
You'll be seeing them a
youths
lot.
who drive all up into that bay
Woohoo!
looking like the cover of an early Beatles album. There's a French chick, a German chick, and two horny dudes set on banging them. That's all there is to them. They're just here to have sex and get killed. I cannot stress enough how much this is a proto Friday the 13th, but one with
Pretty
way
much.
better cinematography.
Back at the bay.
And no, I don't mean all the low angles on that obscenely short skirt, you perverts. Looking to spread their hormones everywhere, they break into an abandoned hotel and start dancing and panty flashing up a storm. German Brunhilde's into Bobby, but he can't really keep up with her free spirit energy. Meanwhile, Duke is, honestly dude, being way too aggro with the French
Yeah,
Denise.
calm down.
No wonder she ends up wanting to get with Bobby more.
Hey, Robert!
What do we need him for?
Come!
Get out of here, beat it.
Or hey, maybe she's just trying to see an Eiffel
wrong.
Tower. She is French after all. Left by her
Yeah.
lonesome, Brunhilde heads to the bay so she can skinny
Yeah,
dip
you know
in
who's
a
first.
shameless scene with a 70s softcore sounding score. During her lengthy soak, she discovers a very bloated and handsy dead
Oh.
body. She runs stark naked mad all the way back to the hotel for help, but the others are no longer there. They've since found the Countess's abandoned mansion, broken into it, and are having themselves a groovy time. God, I love a good conversation pit. And so the barely clothed woman has no one to help her when the first
boy.
person killer catches up and slits her throat with a billhook.
Oof.
Hacks away at it
Damn.
too, leaving a frickin' trench in her neck. Great effects, but
Good
the
night,
best
Brenda.
part about this kill is that the dying woman has time to rotate her bum towards the camera. Horny
Why?
ass film. Bonk. Speaking of horniness, Duke has finally detwad his menage, so he's sexing it up with Denise on his own while Bobby reads a book and goes out of focus. Man, our first-person killer must have some bad eyesight, which is probably why they knock into this pod and break it.
Oops.
Hey, Bobby, want to check out
Yeah,
that
careful,
noise?
Bobby. You're dead.
Damn,
Ooh,
get a pillow to the
right
brain.
in there.
Calm it down. I love the suddenness of that kill. It
Jeez.
reminds me of the Crispin Glover
Yeah,
kill in
bonk.
Friday 4. I also love that the movie revels in the special effects of the
Damn.
kill's after effects. That leaves only two horny teens
Yep,
left to kill,
and a final
they
two
get
coming
got
up.
with a spear that
See ya.
goes straight through
Double
the
up.
both of them. In
Youch.
bed. This kill,
And they
of
didn't
course,
seem to
was
matter.
recreated
Like
in
here.
a much less explicit way in Friday the 13th Part 2. Like I said in the
Yeah, and also notice how I think they were still trying to go on. Like, oh, I'm gonna time, might as well get one more in. Yeesh. If that doesn't kill the horny, I don't know what will. Anyway,
intro, I consider A Bay of Blood the first ever slasher film. Sure, Psycho changed what horror movies could be, and Herschel Gordon
Okay, well,
Lewis's
could, though.
Blood Feast had some respectable splatter. But A Bay of Blood might be the earliest film that made a priority of coming up with fun ways to kill its characters. For instance,
Is that
co-writer
really a thing?
Dardano Sacchetti, who had written Cat O' Nine Tails for Dario Argento, came up with the Countess's wheelchair hanging death, while Bava himself came up with the mid-coitus double spear kill. To execute
Damn.
the executions, Bava enlisted makeup artist Carol Rambaldi, who would go on to win 3 Oscars for his work in special effects. For the
Nice.
1976
Oh,
King Kong,
King
where
Kong,
he
cool.
designed and engineered the giant ape, Alien, where he designed the xenomorph's mechanical
Yo.
head, and E.T. the extraterrestrial, where he designed frickin' E.T. the extraterrestrial.
Yo.
No wonder the
That's
kills
so
in Bay
cool.
look so damn good. In fact, this movie was such a graphic departure from Bava's earlier, more subdued work that Christopher Lee, who starred in Bava's
The Whip and the Bobby.
1963 The Whip and the Body, walked out of a screening of A Bay of Blood in disgust. Majestic
Wow.
music and
You
sweeping
know that's bad.
landscape shots transition us out of the teen tourist slaughter scenes and into the murder
And the main
mystery
plot.
This very confusing story involves the people who live around the bay, like psychic Anna Fasadi, played by
Right.
Laura Betty, who made something of a career out of playing eccentric characters like this. In her tarot cards, Anna keeps seeing harbingers of doom for the bay, but her warnings are ignored by her husband Paolo Fasadi, an entomologist who talks to his bugs.
We can't understand anything, right, Ferdinando?
Ferdinando's
Oh,
the
boy.
bug. Paolo's been growing testy enough to murder his bugs, oh no! Because of his
Poor
neighbor
buggies.
Frank Ventura, a real estate agent who wants to buy up the bay and go all Danny DeVito on it.
I figured that in about 3 weeks we can start with the blasting.
All Frank needs to transform the bay into dollars is to buy it from the Countess's heir, who inherited it after she and her husband were killed. Frank has to go get the heir's signature for the purchase, which means leaving the bed of Laura, his personal assistant and paramour. And do you know how hard it is to leave a pair of boobs that evoke piano music? I think I saw a tear in his eye there. Frank isn't the only one interested in buying up the bay. Another prospective owner is outsider Renata Donati, the estranged daughter of Filippo Donati, the guy who murdered his wife, the Countess, before being killed himself. Since Filippo's body was dragged away, he's only considered missing right now. And with no other bodies around hers, the Countess's death was ruled a suicide. It's a verdict that not everyone buys. Anna Fasati thinks it's bullshit and tells Renata to her face. She even mentions her correct theory that Renata's father killed his wife.
I really came to find out about my father's disappearance, not to hear moral judgment passed on him.
Renata is a strong lady, which is no surprise seeing as she's played by a Bond girl, the late Claudine Auger, who was Domino in Thunderball. Renata bullies around her much softer husband, a guy named Albert, who seems to be the more attentive parent to their 2 kids. They left them in a true knot cart before heading to the bay. Don't want those kids swimming around in a bay of blood. During Renata's visit with the Fasatis, she discovers she's not next in line to inherit the bay. Anna tells her that her stepmother, the Countess, had another heir, an illegitimate son.
Oh, the fellow who lives near the shack on the bay.
That love shack living son of an affair is this fishing dude named Simon, a description that also applies to at least 3 Bible characters. Hell, Simon even says Bible-y things.
But if you kill for killing's sake, you become a monster.
It's Simon's scene with Paolo where the movie explores its central theme, the question of if senseless violence is inherent to human nature. This theme is best illustrated when Simon kills that squid by biting its head. But I didn't want to include that footage since, it's a real squid being killed. I've heard the old head bite is the most humane way to kill them, but still seems weird to me. Simon's existence comes as a surprise to Renata, and she quickly begins thinking of him in an inappropriately murdery way.
Kill humanely.
One obstacle between us and that inheritance. Huh? Nothing.
Well, actually, Ren, there's another obstacle. Frank Ventura, who's just about done buying the bay from Simon. Renata and Albert track down the heir and ask him where her missing father is. With the help of an octopus and a couple of crash zoos, they get their answer. Octopus love human. Octopus hug human. Renata gets ill seeing all this interspecies love, and Simon, who swears he only just found this body, tells them to take her nausea up to Frank Ventura's place. While Albert goes to get their car, Renata uses Frank Ventura's sink to splash some cold water on her face. It's here that she finds a bunch of dead teams all huddled together against the wall. Now, we the audience still don't know who killed these kids, but Renata thinks it's Frank Ventura. A reasonable suspicion, given that she found them in his home. Also, he has an axe. She's unable to keep Frank behind a closed door, but she is able to use a pair of scissors to cut sharp glass and short screams. Frank is left on the floor with a wound in his leg, a scissor wound. And after Paolo discovers his body,
graphic. He's not
dead
yet.
Hoping to get help. Albert also discovers Frank's body, which his wife Renata readily accepts responsibility for. She tells Albert to stop Paolo from telling anyone about the murder.
Hurry before he calls the police. Stop him before he ruins everything, Albert.
I can't just... How am I going to...
Go on, move!
Although she probably could have just killed Paolo herself with that death glare she got. God damn, girl! Albert...
Yeah, that's honestly, like I said, these people are psychotic. Like, they're willing to do this just to get the land, which, not even sure how much of it was worth it, but... Anyway.
Complies and catches up with Paolo right as he's calling the police. He stops him from tattling by strangling him to death with the phone cord. A kill that keeps him out of focus right in front of the camera. The next person for Rennie and Al to worry about is Paolo's now widow, Anna, who's walking around living her best bitchin' witchin' life. She too finds Frank's body and its pocket wound, but before she can figure out what to do next, Renata takes an axe and cuts her head off. And what a beautiful match cut we get there, folks. Even if it's to a cheaply inserted scene that only serves as a reminder of Renata and Albert's kids. Craze. The married murderers reconvene, with Albert much more freaked out about his actions than his psychopathic spouse.
If you're such a coward as to want to dump the whole thing on my shoulders, go right ahead. But I have no intention of losing the bay right now, when it's ours.
The last thing they'll need to do
Yikes.
to inherit the bay is to kill Simon, so let's get to it with some fun times drum times. Hell yeah. I love the
Yeah,
weird
let's see how long
series
this
score
lasts.
by the late Stelvio Cipriani, almost as much
Cipriani.
as I love Bava's cinematography. Bava had to serve as his own cinematographer, by the way, because
Really?
this movie had that low a budget. In fact, they're not even filming in real woods here. They shot mostly around the beach house of producer Giuseppe Zacariello. Bava faked the forest, you see, by putting foliage in the foreground of the camera. Simple, but effective. On their way to commit Simon'cide, Renata and Alfred see a red car drive by. It's Laura, Frank Ventura's confidant with the musical memories. She's here to check on Frank because she's one of those His Girl Friday types, and she finds him in his home, hurt
Yep,
but
see?
still alive.
Not done yet.
He sends her to Simon for help since the two of them are business partners, but when she gets there, she finds Simon in a nasty mood because he's figured something out about her and Frank.
You and Ventura convinced Donati to murder my mother.
Simon calls Laura every name in the book while accusing her of trying to marry his mother's husband. That would be Filippo Donati, of course, whom Simon casually admits to murdering.
You thought you could take my mother's place, didn't you?
No.
But I'm going to kill
No,
you
wait.
like I did
I
Donati.
have nothing to do with it.
Now we're getting into twisty and turny territory,
Yeah.
so a flashback tries to put some things in focus for us. Frank Ventura wanted to buy the bay from the Countess Donati, but she refused to sell it. She preferred to keep it in her family instead of letting him develop it. During the failed negotiations, Laura found and pocketed the Countess's diary. Later, she read it aloud to Frank, who became inspired after hearing a passage that ended with some dramatic romanticism.
Read that last part.
All is finished. Oh, dear death, come swiftly, come silently.
Since the Countess had penned a statement that suggested thoughts of suicide, Frank hatched a plan. Laura would seduce the Countess's husband, Filippo Donati, and with those musical boobs of hers, convince him to kill his wife. They'd leave the diary by her body so it would look like she killed herself, and then Filippo would inherit his wife's bay and be able to sell it to Frank. They didn't expect Simon to kill Filippo for murdering his mom, or for him to find out about the plot and get all pissed at Laura for her involvement. He attacks Laura and kills her with a strangling in the shack on the bay, watching her life.
Night, Laura. Looks like this paramour ain't so innocent.
Simon
Good
takes
night.
a post-murder stroll, and we hear in an echoey voiceover that his Vic list is much longer than Filippo Donati and Laura. He's also responsible for killing the quartet of teens. He did so
Really?
to cover up his earlier crime after Brunhilde saw Filippo Donati's handsy body. Not sure what to do after all that murder, Simon called Frank Ventura for help. In exchange for Simon's newly inherited bay, Frank agreed to help him flee the country and start a new life.
Tomorrow, then, you'll get your money as planned. Your tickets and your passport. Thank you.
Don't thank him too quickly, Simon,
Yeah,
because you've still
Frank's
got to
not-
survive the night. And thanks to Albert, that's not gonna happen. Albert kills Simon by pinning him
Right
against
through
the
the gut.
side of his shack with a spear. It doesn't quite impress Renata, but at least he's not disappointing her for once. That'll do, Al. That'll do. Renata and Albert fish her father's body out of the bay. If she wants to inherit this place, they'll have to make sure he remains missing and that the Countess's death stays ruled as a suicide. They ransack Frank Ventura's place and look for the land contract, but right as Albert finds it, someone turns off the lights. Out of the darkness, Frank attacks Albert with a pair of scissors, and though it looks like he's able to stab him, to Renata's surprise, Albert emerges as the victor of the scuffle. I'm not positive that Frank Ventura was killed, since we didn't see it happen on screen, but judging how my Rennie and Al have been operating, I think it's a safe assumption. The two of them burn up Frank's contract and celebrate their victory. The bay is theirs! They actually got away with it!
Mommy, Daddy.
Oh!
Oh, what?
Holy
Shit,
cow!
come on. Renata and Albert get gunned down at the
Albert
11th
and Renata
hour
out.
by their almost entirely forgotten kids, who begin
Yeah.
a new cycle of violence without even knowing any better.
Gee, they're good at playing dead, aren't they?
The movie ends
Yeah, they're
with the
dead.
two killer kids running off together to go play by the bay.
The Bay of Blood.
So
The
does
bay
that
can
mean the
hold a
kids
whole
inherited
lot
it
of
now?
blood. How many bodies provided it? Let's find out by counting all the blood in the bay.
Hey, hey.
did we get today?
Day. What am I that's a parody of?
13 people died in a Bay of Blood, just like the title number of the series that would imitate it. The
Okay,
victims
six-
consisted
there are
of 6
7 men.
women and 7 men, all of them pairs of lovers except for Simon, who died stag. With a breezy Bay runtime of 84 minutes, that left
Yeah,
us with
sure.
a kill on average every 6.46 minutes. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to the twofer of Denise and Duke. I like Anna's decapitation, but the double spear really sums up the sexiness and violence that these types of movies are known for. Plus, they got cribbed by a Jason movie. Talk about influential. Dull machete for
Machete.
lamest kill will go to Frank Ventura.
I mean, yeah, that did
stabbed
not
in
make
the
any
dark
sense.
by the previously meek man known as Albert. And that's it. A Bay
Fair.
of Blood came out in 1971 and might very well be my favorite Friday the 13th. Until next time, I'm James
Except it's
H.
not
Meese.
Friday the 13th.
This has been the Kill Count.
Well, there you go. Let me know what you guys think, because frankly, oh boy, that was a lot. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of A Bay of Blood, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.